Guten Morgen. Mögen and Möchte we did yesterday. I hope everything is clear with Mögen and Möchte. And I have shown you the mind map. Bitte arbeiten Sie mit einer Mind Map. Bitte arbeiten Sie mit einer Mind Map. Das ist sehr hilfreich. Das ist sehr hilfreich. Hilfreich. Helpful. It's very helpful. That's a hilfreich. Hilfreich is helpful. Yeah, and then we saw yesterday the subject-object, basic distinction between subject and object. But basically we had this particular slide on Seite 51 with verbs like brauchen, haben, machen, kochen, essen, kaufen, nehmen. And what was it that we learnt about the accusative? Only for masculine singular, the article changes. Okay. And the change is der becomes den, ein becomes, kein becomes, mine would become, and so on and so forth. Okay. There is no other there is no change in any other thing. No change in neuter, no change in feminine, and no change in the plural. Okay. All of them remain the same. Only masculine singular changes when it appears as an object. Okay. Just to clarify that such changes also happen in other languages. One simple example is लड़का आम खाता है. लड़का आम खाता है. Everybody understand this much of Hindi? लड़का आम खाता है. Okay. लड़का is what? Boy. Grammatically. Subject. What is लड़का eating? आम. Object. Okay. खाता है. But now if the लड़का becomes object, suppose मैंने लड़के को आम खिलाया. मैंने लड़के को आम खिलाया और मैंने लड़के को देखा. So if the लड़का is no longer subject, मैं is a subject, then लड़का becomes लड़के. The change in the noun. Okay, the noun is inflected. In German, the article is inflected. Okay, and if you notice, probably even in Hindi also, लड़की आम खाती है और मैंने लड़की को देखा. There is no change in लड़की, but लड़का has changed. मैंने लड़के को देखा. Okay, so I'm just guessing here, but you can easily see that there are inflections in nouns and articles in other languages as well. It doesn't happen in English, and we tend to constantly compare German with English, but it's not correct to compare German with English. There are several other languages and all of them, have an independent existence. So it is always good to go back to your own mother tongue and rediscover what all happens in that language. Once you start learning a foreign language, it will, if you are willing to do it, it will take you back to your mother tongue actually and make you more appreciative of your mother tongue. That's what happened in my case at least. Okay. So just to make the observation that this kind of a change in the article, etc., it is not something alien, because it happens in a different way in other languages. Only problem is that we constantly compare it with English, and in English doesn't happen. The boy eats a mango, I see the boy, I give the boy a mango. The boy just doesn't change. The mango also doesn't change. Okay, it just remains the same. So only if the boy sees me, then I changes to me. I am subject, me is object. If the person appears as a subject, then it is I. If the person who's speaking appears as the object, it is me. Is it clear? Yeah. He sees me and I see him. He and him. She and her. So it doesn't happen in nouns, it happens in English only in pronouns, and that too just one change. Okay, I, me. Anyway, so there are examples of the accusative which we can do later on, which are there in the workbook as well. Please practice them. I would like to ich möchte heute den Text lesen, der Text, den Text. Ich möchte den Text auf Seite 48 lesen. Seite 48. Wir haben hier einen Text. Wir haben auf Seite 48 einen Text. Berufe rund ums Essen. Berufe rund ums Essen. Beruf? Yeah. Rund ums Essen. Professions that have to do with, that are around the theme of eating, of food. So, Nummer 12. Nummer 12. Die Aufgabe ist, Aufgabe, have you done the word Aufgabe? Hausaufgabe? Assignment. Yeah, Aufgabe is task, the task, what has to be done. Okay, the task. So, die Aufgabe Nummer 12 ist Koch am Bodensee. Koch am Bodensee. Lesen Sie den Text und die Fragen. Lesen Sie den Text und die Fragen. Markieren Sie die Informationen im Text. Markieren Sie die Informationen im Text und beantworten Sie dann die Fragen. Is that clear? Any word which is not clear? Fragen, Frage, Antwort, beantworten as a verb, to answer. Eine Frage beantworten. Okay, it's a regular verb. Beantworten means to answer. Ich beantworte die Frage. Okay, I answer the question. It is pass it on mic.
Sir, but in the usually in whatever instructions they give in the book, they will usually write Antworten Sie. So why is there a be here?
Antworten Sie and beantworten Sie. Yeah. Okay. It is 9:15 in the morning. It's a good time for a detailed grammatical explanation. I hope you have slept well so that we can have, yeah, Antworten and beantworten. It's a good question actually, because I would like to take you back to your middle school grammar, not even high school grammar, okay? And I want to remind you or ask you whether you remember the types of verbs that you did.
Transitive and intransitive.
Transitive and intransitive verbs. What is the meaning of transitive and intransitive verbs? What does it mean?
Transitive verbs like it's somewhat related to like what, who.
Yeah, yeah. But what? What is the relationship?
Like
anyone remembers what is, because that is actually the answer to Saurabh's question.
Where like transitive is where like action is done, like I mean, for example, we say I sing, so that is intransitive verb, because
why?
Because like there is no action being
No,
done.
singing is happening, no? I run.
Yeah.
Transitive or intransitive?
Intransitive.
But action is happening, no? I'm running. Lot of action happening. I'm sweating. Transitive, intransitive. I'm sweating. Intransitive. So what is lacking in that? I sing.
There is no object.
There is no object. Okay. So when the verb, there are also verbs which cannot take an object. Okay. There are verbs which we can use either ways. For example, I sing. I sing can be used in an intransitive sense, that I like to sing. I normally sing, whatever it is, and I can sing a song, or I can sing a ghazal, or I can sing whatever it is. Okay. So then my singing has a direct object, which is I sing what? A song, and not the national anthem. Okay. So which is also a song, by the way. So I sing a song. Then the verb becomes transitive because it can carry an object. Okay, transitive verbs are those verbs that can carry an object. Okay, intransitive verbs are verbs that either do not or cannot carry an object. Okay, for example,
Sleep.
yeah, to sleep, for example, to sleep, to be. I am cannot have an object because it is, you can't be the object of your own existence, not possible. You are the subject of your existence. Okay, so to be is an intransitive verb. Similarly, to sleep is an intransitive verb. To run, well, you can run a race, then it is transitive, or you can run 8 hours, then it is intransitive. Okay, so verbs which have an object are transitive, verbs which don't have an object are intransitive. The German prefix be, it's a very strengthening prefix in the sense of you will come across many verbs which exist without be and with be, like antworten and beantworten. The ones with be are definitely transitive. They can carry an object. The ones without the be are usually intransitive. They cannot carry an object. So, for example, if I am using the verb antworten and beantworten, then I can use the verb beantworten the way it is being used here. Ich beantworte die Frage. What does the task say? Beantworten Sie dann die Fragen. So, beantworten Sie was? Die Fragen. Object, there is an object. If I were to use antworten here, okay, then I would not be able to say antworten Sie die Fragen. I would have to use a prefix, no, sorry, not a prefix, I would have to use a preposition to help me carry the object. I would have had to say, und antworten Sie dann auf die Fragen, and give an answer on the question or to the questions. Okay, so the difference is, in this case, beantworten, antworten is basically antworten you can use, but you would have to take the help of auf in that case. Antworten as such cannot carry a direct object, okay, which the beantworten can. So you have many such pairs. You have antworten, and although in daily usage now, you have a lot of things, like for example, you have zahlen and bezahlen, both mean to pay. Okay. But I mean, when we nowadays you can, but when the difference that I was taught between, if I say zahlen, I pay for the sandwich. Ich zahle für das Sandwich. Für, I need the help of für. But with be, I can say ich bezahle das Sandwich without the für. Okay, so bezahlen and zahlen, you have antworten, beantworten, you have suchen, but although this is not actually a good pair because both of them are transitive and their meaning is different. But point is, beantworten Sie dann die Fragen. And there is an orange box next to it which says, wichtige Informationen im Text verstehen or in Texten verstehen. W-Fragen helfen. Okay. Always keep in mind the W-Fragen. Who is the one that the text is talking about? So where, what is it talking about, or what is the person doing, what is being talked about? Wann, when is it happening, wo, where is it happening, and we, how are things being done, how is it happening. Okay. So always when you read a text, there will be a lot of words and maybe some constructions that you might not be familiar with, but it is always good to have these W questions in mind and read a text from that point of view and mark actually information that you understand. Okay, and then come back to the text and you will understand even more. Okay. So Berufe rund ums Essen, Koch, Landwirt, Bäcker, Kellner, Hotelfachfrau. Yeah. Koch, cook, chef, Landwirt. Landwirt is a hotel owner actually, or an innkeeper or hotel owner. Landwirt. Bäcker, Kellner. Kellner is a bartender, or yeah, I mean waiter or bartender. Kellner. Hotelfachfrau is a hotel executive. Fach, F-A-C-H, Fach in German means a particular subject area. Okay. For example, mein Fach ist Germanistik, German studies. Ich habe das Fach Germanistik studiert. Okay. I think we did this word, Fach, right in the beginning when we asked, what are you studying exactly? Electrotechnik and what was aeronautical engineering? Aerospace engineering was what? Someone here from aerospace, no? Okay. So FACH, Fach means subject, a specialized subject. So Fachmann and Fachfrau, the standard words Fachmann and Fachfrau. Das Fach, die Fächer, der Fachmann, die Fachfrau. So Hotelfach, so Fachmann, Fachfrau is the word for expert, an expert. A Fachmann is an expert and a Fachfrau, yeah, also an expert. So Hotelfachfrau would be a hotel expert or hotel executive or hotel management expert. Ja, ich lese den Text und bitte lesen Sie mit. Bitte lesen Sie mit. Read along as I read along und markieren Sie die wichtigen Informationen. Yeah? And mark whatever you understand and think is the important information. Max Schmidt und sein Chef planen zusammen das Essen für die Woche. Max Schmidt und sein Chef planen zusammen das Essen für die Woche. Dann geht er auf den Markt. Er kauft Tomaten, Champignons und Salat. Kartoffeln und Zwiebeln braucht er auch. Dann kauft er noch frischen Fisch. Max Schmidt arbeitet seit 2 Jahren als Koch in dem kleinen Restaurant Esszimmer in der Altstadt von Konstanz. Max Schmidt arbeitet seit 2 Jahren als Koch in dem kleinen Restaurant Esszimmer in der Altstadt von Konstanz. Da gibt es jeden Tag ein anderes Fischgericht. Da gibt es jeden Tag ein anderes Fischgericht. Fische frisch aus dem Bodensee. Fische frisch aus dem Bodensee. Ja, so zum Beispiel, for example, Frage Nummer 1. Wo arbeitet Max Schmidt? Wo arbeitet Max Schmidt? Wo ist das Mikrofon? Yeah. No, you can identify the sentence where the information is. Okay. No, you take the mic. Identify the sentence where it is.
Eighth sentence.
Read it.
Mark Schmidt arbeitet in
Seit 2 Jahren
seit 2 Jahren als Koch in dem kleinen Restaurant Esszimmer. Restaurant in
Esszimmer.
Esszimmer in der Altstadt von Konstanz.
Ja, also, wo arbeitet Max Schmidt? In einem kleinen Restaurant. Wie heißt das Restaurant? Esszimmer, Esszimmer, Esszimmer. Das Restaurant heißt Esszimmer. Esszimmer, what is Zimmer? Room. Esszimmer? Dining room. Ja. Und in welcher Stadt? No. What is Altstadt? Old town of Constance. We said Bodensee is Lake Constance in English. That is Bodensee. That's the lake on the border between southwest Germany and north of Switzerland. Okay, and the name which is used in English, Lake Constance, comes also from the town which is on the edge of the lake, which is Constance, on the German side of the lake, which is Constance. Klein, Gross, Klein. We have done the pair of opposites. Gross, Klein. It's there in your notes. Ja, dann was macht auf dem Markt? Was macht Max Schmidt auf dem Markt? Was macht auf dem Markt?
Kauft Tomaten,
Champignons.
und Salat.
No G, yeah? Champignon, the G is silent.
Champignons und Salat.
Und Salat. Und kauft noch etwas?
Kauft Tomaten, Champignons und Salat.
No, I'm asking, does he buy anything else?
Okay.
Noch etwas?
Kauft auch Kartoffeln und Zwiebeln braucht. Zwiebeln
Yeah.
braucht.
No, braucht is that he needs, so he buys that. I mean, brauchen is to need. So, kauft auch, that was good. Kauft auch
Kartoffeln und
Zwiebeln und noch etwas?
und frischen Fisch.
Und Fisch, yeah, und frischen Fisch. So, this kind of text comprehension will be possible. It's not very difficult. Okay, you could just have to pick out information from. There are a few elements, grammatical elements here which we have not done. For example, auf den Markt and auf dem Markt and all these things. Or the other thing was in dem kleinen Restaurant Esszimmer, kleinen and all. So these things we have not done, but it's not difficult to glean information from a text like this. So, dann lesen wir weiter. Okay. So, we said, da gibt es jeden Tag ein anderes Fischgericht. Fischgericht? Gericht. No, Gericht is not. Geschäft is shop. Gericht is a dish, something that you cook, an item that you make. So, Fischgericht would be a fish preparation. Okay. Ein anderes. Jeden Tag. Every day a different fish preparation. Fische frisch aus dem Bodensee. Fish fresh from the Lake Constance, from Bodensee. Zurück im Restaurant, wäscht, schält und schneidet das Gemüse. Der Chef bereitet den Fisch zu. Paula, eine Kollegin, macht das Dessert. Max mag seine Arbeit. Sagt, Kochen ist mein Beruf, aber auch mein Hobby. Zurück im Restaurant, zurück, back, hin und zurück. Kind of a pair of words. Hin und zurück. Hin is to and Zurück is return from. Okay. So, Zurück means back, back in the restaurant. Zurück im Restaurant. Was macht Max? Zurück im Restaurant. Which are the actions given? What is he doing? Please take the mic and answer the question. What are the verbs that are given? What is was macht Max im Restaurant? Was macht er? Anybody from this side? Was macht er im Restaurant? You don't have to understand everything. You just have to read the relevant sentence. Was-
Macht.
No, was macht er? Er?
Macht.
No, there's no need to say macht.
Well, he does, right? They.
No, what does he do? Which are the verbs? What is he doing?
Wascht,
Wäscht,
wäscht, schält
schält
und schneidet.
und schneidet. Was? Was schneidet er?
Gemüse.
Das Gemüse. What is Gemüse?
Vegetable. Vegetable.
Vegetables, yeah. What is fruits?
Obst.
Obst. Obst und Gemüse. Okay. Zurück im Restaurant, wäscht, waschen. Waschen, wäscht. Irregular verb. Waschen, wäscht. Waschen, wäscht? To wash. Schält. Schälen. Peeling. Schälen. Peeling. Und schneiden. Cut. Chop. Yeah. Also, zurück im Restaurant, wäscht, schält und schneidet er das Gemüse. Der Chef bereitet den Fisch zu. So, Max arbeitet mit Gemüse. Der Chef arbeitet mit Fisch. Er bereitet den Fisch zu. What would that mean? Der Chef bereitet den Fisch zu. What could that mean? At last some sign of life from that row. Yeah.
Expert in fish.
No. What is happening in the restaurant? We're not talking about experts, we're talking about actions. So Max is washing, peeling and cutting the vegetables. And the chef, which is his boss also, what is he doing with the fish? The sentence doesn't say the chef is expert in fish. Sentence says bereitet den Fisch zu. What could he be doing to the fish?
Marinate.
Yeah, marinating is a possibility, but basically one common word. You what food? You cook food or you prepare food. Prepare. He is preparing the fish. So marinating is a possibility, but marinating you have a specific word for that. Marinating. So bereitet den Fisch zu means he is preparing the fish. Okay. Der Chef bereitet den Fisch zu. Paula, eine Kollegin von Max. Paula ist eine Kollegin von Max. Was macht Paula? Das Dessert. She macht das Dessert. Oder auf Deutsch, what is dessert basically is it sweet, and when is it eaten? After dinner. So the German word for dessert is Tisch. Tisch. So when you have laid the table, when you are done with it, after the table has been emptied, what you have is the Nachtisch. So German word for dessert, of course, is French word, but the German word for it is Nachtisch. Also, Paula, eine Kollegin, macht das Dessert. Max mag seine Arbeit. Mag und möchte. Max mag seine Arbeit. Er sagt, Kochen ist mein Beruf, aber auch mein Hobby. Kochen ist mein Beruf, aber auch mein Hobby. Ich arbeite gern. I'm finishing this text. Ich arbeite gern in einem kleinen Team. Und die Kollegen sind sehr nett. Nett? Net, we had the word yesterday. Nice, nice. Ich arbeite gern in einem kleinen Team und die Kollegen sind sehr nett. Kochen ist auch sehr kreativ. Kochen ist auch sehr kreativ. Das macht viel Spaß. Spaß? Spaß? Fun. Das macht viel Spaß. It is a lot of fun. Das macht viel Spaß. Ich probiere gerne neue Gerichte aus. Ich probiere gerne neue Gerichte. Probieren, probe, try out. I try out new dishes. Ich probiere gerne neue Gerichte aus. Oft haben wir viele Gäste. Oft haben wir im Restaurant viele Gäste. Viele? Many, many. Das ist dann echt stressig. Das ist sehr stressig. Da haben wir viel Stress. Wir haben viele Gäste. Das Restaurant ist voll. Das Restaurant ist voll. Es gibt viele Gäste. Dann ist es echt stressig. Stressig? Stressful. Really. Really. Und die Arbeitszeiten sind nicht toll. Die Arbeitszeiten sind nicht sehr gut. Nicht toll. Are not exactly great. Okay, toll is great, wonderful, toll. But the Arbeitszeit, working hours, yeah. Ich arbeite normalerweise von 6 bis 15 Uhr oder von 13 bis 22 Uhr. Am Wochenende, that's okay, no? Ja. Am Wochenende muss ich am Abend oft noch länger arbeiten. There is your modal verb. Muss. Am Wochenende muss ich am Abend oft noch länger arbeiten. What is he saying? Yeah, on weekends, that's correct. On weekends, what happens on weekends?
He has to work longer.
He has to work longer. Yeah, so which is the word for longer? Länger. He has to, which is the word for has to? Muss. In English? Must. Okay. So, and what is happened to work? Which is the word for to work? Where is it in the sentence? At the end. Okay. And which is the word which is the conjugated verb? Second place? Muss. That's basically your modal verb. The modal verb gets conjugated. The main verb does not get conjugated. Like we did for möchte and trinken, möchte and essen. Similarly, for modal verben muss, for example, the muss will get conjugated and the arbeiten will go to the end of the sentence and will be inert, not conjugated, okay, in its infinitive form. So, am Wochenende muss ich am Abend oft noch länger arbeiten. Das ist natürlich nicht so schön. That's of course not so nice. Das ist nicht so schön. Ich habe nicht viel Freizeit und wenig Zeit für meine Freunde. Ich habe nicht viel Freizeit und wenig Zeit für meine Freunde. Nicht viel, wenig. Viel, wenig. Not less is little. Und wenig Zeit für meine Freunde. Okay. So, you can go through the text again by yourselves. It's not very difficult. It's quite simple. There are a couple of new elements in the text.
Sir, so when we have so we have a helping verb and we have the main verb, and the main verb does not get conjugated. So, sir, what would happen for sein? Like, what if I want to use sein as the main verb and like use it with a modal verb like something like muss or something?
Give me an example.
Like, I like to be a doctor. Like, so ich mag
No, not Mark.
Ich möchte.
I would like to be a doctor, no? I'd like to
Yeah,
become a
yeah.
doctor.
So ich möchte der
Ich möchte Arzt.
ich möchte Arzt sein.
You would not actually. I would like to. I would like to become. You say no. Not be. Be in the sense if you're putting up a play and there's a role of a doctor, then I'd like
yeah.
to be a doctor. Yeah.
Or like
But if you're
fancy dress up like fancy.
but the whole life is a play anyways. So, but then you would use the verb to become actually, which is werden. Okay. The point is what happens to verbs like sein? Nothing happens. They stay sein. Unconjugated form. What is the
Like-
unconjugated form of sein?
So but are they used in that
Yes.
sense?
Yes. It has to be like this in grammar. In grammatic, muss das so sein has to be like this. Okay, so to be will remain unconjugated in German also, which is sein. So no bin, no sind, nothing. It will be sein. Okay. So whenever you're using a modal verb with any verb, they will remain unconjugated. Okay. If you come to page number 61, Seite 61. Seite 61. Wir haben auf Seite 61 drei Modalverben. Wir haben drei Modalverben. Müssen, können, wollen. Müssen, können, wollen. Müssen is of course must, has to do something. Können, can. And wollen, want to. Not will, but want to. Wollen. Okay. Although it looks like ich will, looks like I will, but actually, what is the meaning of I will in English?
Like future tense.
Future tense and a resolve. I will do it also. But that's not the case in German. In German, ich will means I want. Okay. So it's almost the same as ich möchte. Okay. Wollen and möchte are not very different. In fact, we were taught, when I learned modal verbs for the first time, we were taught that möchte is used only for food and drink. For everything else, use wollen. Okay. So, but nowadays it doesn't matter. That was what a very hard and fast rule-based grammar at that time which was taught. But nowadays, actually there is no difference between wollen and möchte. Practically, it's just that in a restaurant, if you go, then saying möchte is slightly more polished than saying ich will. Okay, which is you better bring it, otherwise X, Y, Z. So you have three modal verben on page 61 and their conjugations, and you will find that's what we marked out while we did the conjugation of möchte, that ich and are the same. Okay. So actually möchte is also kind of a modal verb, but it's not counted among modal verbs. So kind of modal verb. Yeah, I just want to 1 minute, not more than that. I will go through the Urzeiten, which is also there, which is introduced in lesson 5. So you can read it yourselves also in the book. It's not very difficult to understand. Wie viel Uhr ist es? Okay, wie viel Uhr ist es? Fragen und antworten Sie. Fragen und, here is your antworten without an object. Okay. Fragen und antworten Sie. 7, kurz nach 7, 10 nach 7, Viertel nach 7, 5 vor halb 8 and halb 8. What is halb 8? Half to 8, half to 8. So 7:30 is halb 8. Okay. 5 nach halb 8, Viertel vor 8. Viertel vor and Viertel nach. Yeah, Viertel nach 7. Viertel nach 7 is quarter after 7. Viertel nach 7 and Viertel vor 8. So quarter after 7 and quarter before 8. So 10 vor 7. So vor and nach, before and after. Those are the pair. And the two questions are wie spät ist es und wie viel Uhr ist es. Both are fine. What is the time? To ask what is the time, you can ask wie spät ist es or wie viel Uhr ist es. Es ist jetzt 9 Uhr 52. Okay, if you look at the time, es ist 9 Uhr 52. And official and Alltagssprache, every day in unofficial. Okay, 20 Uhr, 8 Uhr. 20 Uhr 15, Viertel nach 8. 19 Uhr 30, halb 8. 20 Uhr 55, kurz vor 9 or 5 vor 9. So basically in the official context you use a 24-hour clock in German always, and you use a standard format 20 Uhr 55. No 5 vor 9 and kurz vor 9 and halb 9 etc. Those are informal. Quarter past, half past, quarter to. Those are all informal expressions. The formal expression of officials is this thing 20 Uhr 55. Okay. So please go through the clock and we will try and finish this and the family tomorrow. Okay, I would like to introduce the clock and the family tomorrow.